We are live. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Man, I got to tell you, life sometimes just comes at you in all different kinds of ways. Pause. You never know what's going to happen from day to day, but good, if you believe in the Lord, he will prosper. He will prosper. The real ones know. But we do have a massive show in store for you here tonight. Final keys to victory. I have made the executive decision. We will not be live tomorrow. I will make it up to you. College football starts tomorrow, man. Really, really starts tomorrow with Florida and Utah. Let's go watch the game together. But I will make up the show to you. We'll be live before and after games. And you know what it always is. We're live back here for every single football game. We will do the post-game shows. So that is back. We'll be live a lot here this week, just not live tomorrow as we start college football. We will give you those final keys tonight. Ruffino's rants. Listen, there are just specific things that you have to do, okay, to win this game. I think that you can do them. And look, Florida State, let them talk. Let them talk. We'll get into a little bit of a recruiting update as well. Dominic McKinley commits on September the 1st. We'll touch on that a little bit here tonight. John Emery is out for game one. Again. This year probably won't affect you as much as it did last year because you do have some really quality running backs. We'll touch a little bit on the running back room. We'll touch. Everybody continues to ask. We'll touch on that in the Ruffino's rants too. Zack Nagy from Sports Illustrated joins us at 7:30. Fire in your questions when he gets in here, man. Questions, thoughts, concerns. What do you think what do you think about this game? What do you want Zack to tell you his predictions are? And I didn't do this last night. I did not do this last night, but we normally do a hashtag Ask Blake. So we'll fire in your questions, thoughts, concerns, and we'll get to many of them as we can. And if you were just on the Ruffino and Joe show, I gave my picks out for the week. I will do that here again tonight on AYS. So we were 5-0 last week. Hope to go 5-0 again this week. Ryan says, hashtag rep your hood. He's in the 337. I almost forgot. Where are you listening to us from? Are you in the 337, the 601, the 985, the 504, 225, 318, 31 great? Are you in the 901? Where are you listening to us from tonight? Fire it inside the chat. We'll get to as many of those as we can. Paul, you beat me to it. Life comes at you all kinds of ways. That needs to go on a shirt, especially if Florida State loses. Y'all need to go over there and get one of the Pooh Bear shirts. Fire in the link, the Florida State one, or can you? I don't know. Eric Newman says Hattiesburg 601. Tyler Townsend says 318, 3-1. Great. Niceville, Florida. I've actually been through Niceville. Gerard says, Christopher Westbrook says 501 by the way of the 318. Where is the 501? They said 501. 501 area code. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Okay. Arkansas in the house tonight. And Carter Bryant isn't even here. How about that? How about that? Spring Hill in the 318. Got a lot of people in the 318. C. King says that 985. Yeah. You can fire in the area codes, or you can just say what town you're listening. Chris H says and he's in New Orleans. Brandon Reese is in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Stephen Fry, good friends over at Fry Construction out there in E-Town, a.k.a. Eunice. Go see him. Dirt and Hall Services. I can't say that word. Demolition, they do it all. Go over to Fry Construction today. He says, E-Town. Derek Gordon says in the 985, Hammond, Louisiana. Gotta love it. Randall says in the 504, Marrero is in the house. Marrero is in the house. You gotta love it. Pooh Bear's got a 251 from Foley, Alabama. Pooh Bear said, this is going to piss some Louisiana people off. Pooh Bear said that Mobile started Mardi Gras. That's what he said. Mr. Lathers says 985 Tangy, baby. You got to love it. You got to love it. Mark Chasson says, I'm in Ponchatoula, I'm in Ponchatoula. You got to love it. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those social media groups. Share to all of those social media pages. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. And if you're watching us on Fubo TV, welcome, welcome, welcome. Argue with your mammy. I mean, technically, I guess it did. Who knows? History is an opinion. History is not facts. Just because it's in a book, wait, the Bible's in a book. Besides the Bible, everything else is in a book. They could be lying to you. You would never know. I have many leather-bound books. Sorry about our good friends over at betonline.ag and our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons. Don't go anywhere. Keys to victory next.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons, go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992, 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
Yeah. Dustin says, where do I go on Fubo? I just signed up yesterday. Yeah, go to Believe TV, my man. Believe TV, my man. Chris H says, Pooh Bear, it ain't about who starts it. It's about who perfects it. Then Dale says, Pooh, sorry, Mardi Gras started in Italy. So you mean the Italianas? Mamma mia, papa mia. The Italians started Mardi Gras? Mamma mia. Like my name's Mario. Luigi. A Donatello. A Michelangelo. Eric, you can't. You got to go to YouTube. Argue with your mama. See? You should have told them to argue with you, because then they're going to argue with you in the chat. Big game Sunday. Massive game on Sunday. LSU takes on Florida State. Listen. Don't get this twisted. As much as the Florida State fans are probably all over Twitter, probably all over Facebook, talking trash. You're hearing it from everywhere that LSU is going to lose in this game. Deep down, you're like, wait, what? Because that's what a lot of people, Florida State fans, are telling you. Neither team, in my personal opinion, is going to blow each other out in this one. It just won't. I think Florida State's a good team. And look, when you play good teams, you can lose. Don't think you will, though. Said this today, tweeted it out. I think Jane Daniels goes off. I think he's your X factor along with getting the playmaker of the ball. I don't think that they have any. Florida State, in my opinion, does not have anybody that I think that can cover Mason Taylor if he's on point and the guy that we expect him to be. Linebackers, he's too fast. Safeties, he's too big. But I do think that your quarterback in this game, for you to win, is just going to have to play like he's capable of playing. Show us what you've done all offseason or non-playing portion of the year. Show us the dude that you were against Florida, the guy that you can be in that first half against Georgia, the guy that you can be against Purdue. And look, use your legs. He's going to. Guys, he ran for a net close to 1,200 yards last year. Even though he only ran for 800, once you subtract all of the sack yardage, which I don't think should go against Jaden Daniels personally, but I digress. I do digress. For you to win this game, it's going to come down to me for both teams, which quarterback plays better. And look, just because the stat line would say that maybe Jordan Travis threw for more yards or ran for more yards, whatever. The quarterback that takes over, has the momentum, is constantly on a scoring run. Because, look, man, Brian Kelly, whether you like this or not, when he starts getting down in that goal in that red zone, he likes running the football. It's how he's always been. If you score, it doesn't really matter how you do it. First play of the game, though, show what you've been working with. Shake it fast, pause. But watch yourself. He is going to be the X factor and why you win. You need him to be. He's got the weapons. He's got the offensive line. This is the best supporting cast he's ever had since last year. From a top to bottom supporting cast, this is the best team that Jaden Daniels has been a part of. And I think he can lead you there. He's got to show what he's been doing all season, though. And if he does that, he's going to be fine. And you're going to look up and say, man, we got 31 points and we're midway through the third quarter. We got 28 points. We're midway through the third quarter. And I remind you that last year's Alabama game, you won by, what was it, 34, 33, 33, 32, whatever it was. I don't remember, but I know it was around there. Those teams, only one team scored a touchdown in the first half. That was LSU. Jaden Daniels throw to John Emery, who is out, which we'll get to. Number two, defensively, I know that you have questions in the secondary, but more than the secondary, you have to stay disciplined in that front seven. Last year, you were not. Last year, you looked like, at times, and did a lot of the same things that you did under Orgeron and why teams gassed you up front. Mainly due to the fact that you were not disciplined enough. Florida State will and is going to attempt to throw you off balance. You can't be over-aggressive in this game in the run. You have to play your gaps and know your assignments. Thank God for Omar Speights. Thank God for Omar Speights. There's nothing that's going to happen from a mental aspect in this game that Omar Speights, in the career that he's had at Oregon State, he's seen it all. Guys, whether you like it, love it, or hate it, the Pac-12 offensively, they're not a sucky conference when it comes to putting up points. They can put up points. USC does have probably the number one overall pick. Lincoln Riley, whether you like him or love him or hate him, the dude knows offensive systems, schemes. And what has Omar Speights done when he's faced really good offenses? He's shined. He's had really good games. Stay disciplined. Stay focused. When they start running counter, do not start getting out of your lanes. Do not start over pursuing, because what will happen, Jordan Travis will pull it, get 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, or he'll come off that pull, hit the slant RPO to Keon Coleman. That is what their game plan it will be. They will probably do a trick play here and there. They love having trick plays in their offense. Last year, they hit you on one. They've done that more than anybody. Don't over pursue. Don't over contain. In that part two, I do think that people are not emphasizing enough how much Harold Perkins' impact will mean on this game. Guys, we saw what the kid did. Brian Kelly admitted, y'all, that last year, Harold Perkins, we threw him out there and gave him really no real true assignment. We let him spy the quarterback. We let him get after the passer. We gave him some coverage routes out in the flat. Those were the three things that Harold Perkins did a year ago. And look at the impact that he had. I do not believe that there is another playmaker on this team for either side that is as dynamic as Harold Perkins will be. If the sophomore slump, knock on wood, does not creep at the door of Harold Perkins, he is going to have another All-American type of year. You know that he can do it. I know that he can do it. Everybody knows that he can do it. Can he perform in moving and not just being the athlete that he is and being disciplined a part of that? But I don't think Jordan Travis has seen somebody that is his. There's not been a team that Jordan Travis has faced when you have someone who is all their goal is to spy you, contain you, and Harold Perkins, he's not seen a better linebacker. You know that, and I know that. He hasn't. It's going to be an interesting matchup between number 4 and number 13, Travis versus Harold Perkins. Number 3. Carter Bryant is trying to convince me of this, and I'm not budging on it yet. People think that you're going to have to run the ball right at him and show that you can. And I don't disagree with that. I just believe that early on in this game, you're going to have to get your playmakers just out in space. Let Jane Daniels get a couple comfortable passes underneath his belt, and let's get rolling. I just don't believe running into the teeth of a really good defensive line early should be the game plan. I do believe that if you just start, even if you nickel and dime them in the passing game down the field and started pushing in the red zone, okay, whatever. But this game's going to be, look, you're going to have to get the tough yardage. You're going to have to break the perimeter. You can get the perimeter on this team. As good as Jared Verse is, at Braden Fisk, Fabian Lovett, you can get to the perimeter. Jane Daniels has shown that you can get to the perimeter. And I do think that if there is a game that you say, listen, we want Jane Daniels to do other things down the road during the year, we're going to still utilize his legs. And like Florida State fans were trying to debate with me today, right? Like, oh, well, Jane Daniels, was the only person that ran for over 100 yards in last year's game. Who gives a shit? Guys, I don't give a flying F in a game that of this magnitude how you win it. Now, sure, you want to have some type of confidence and look good doing it. But I will remind you, the year that Georgia won their first national title, Pooh, what was that game, Clemson, Georgia? Wasn't it like 10-3? Wasn't it something like 10-3 or something like that? I just don't give a damn how you win these games. 9-6. Okay, well, your offense didn't do good enough. I get it. You gotta find a way to win. LSU offensively is going to score, though. They're probably going to score a lot. Guys, last year, this offense in the beginning of the year looked so dormant. At times, one of their worst offensive performances a year ago as a team collectively was Florida State. Jaden Daniels was the only reason that you lost that game by a point. The only reason. Kayshon Boutte dropped a fade route in the back of the end zone, turned his head around too late. They tried to put it on Jaden. People know. The real ones do. Number 5. Or number 4. Yeah. Number 4. No. Why did I scratch that out? Last point. Last point. I believe that there's a mismatch that nobody's talking about with Florida State and LSU. Like what we do as analysts, what we do as journalists, reporters, whoever you listen to, fans, what we have not talked about at all. Mike Norvell versus Brian Kelly. Atkins versus Matt House. Denbrock, Florida State, who some believe is an emerging defensive team. We're not talking about the mismatch, Brian Kelly versus Mike Norvell. I do think that there is one. And it's not a shot at Mike Norvell. But Brian Kelly in his career has had more success. He's a better overall coach. Now, can Mike Norvell be a dude down the line? Can they have another year where they win 10, maybe even 11 games? Yes, I do think he's a good coach. I don't think he's better than Brian Kelly. I don't think that they have a better staff than you. I don't. In Matt House's worst called game, he still, to some extent, slowed down Alex Atkins and Florida State. Everything last year was built for you to not even really be in a position that you should have been in. We forget that Brian Kelly, day one, had 39 scholarship players, and the first game that he played was against Florida State. People forget that. The mismatch that nobody wants to address in the room is because people don't like giving your head coach that a boy. You know what I mean? Like, people don't like giving Brian Kelly a that a boy. Like, he's, X's and O's wise, he is really good. So we've gone this entire non-playing portion of the year. The entire non-playing portion of the year. When have you listened or heard somebody specifically talk about how Brian Kelly is a better coach than Mike Norvell? And his experience and his coaching prowess is better than Mike Norvell's. Jane Daniels, Brian Kelly. If everything around the room is the same, I take the dude and the quarterback, the better head coach and the quarterback. I always will. The one thing I learned the quickest about football, historically, the better head coach and the better quarterback, if everything else is even, they win 80% of the time, 90% of the time. And as an LSU fan, I'm going to tell you, you probably hate to admit it to some extent. You went under it, Nick Saban and Les Miles. Look how vastly different you could have been if you had any kind of offensive put out and quarterbacks that could have helped you. Might have been different. All right. Zack Nagy, Sports Illustrated. Got to admit, man, my guy was on one this year. My guy was on one. He covered it better than anybody. I got to give it to him. All right, so Zack Nagy, we talk more LSU, Florida State. I did not talk about this John Emery thing first, or before we got to him, but I'm going to do that with him right when we get him on here. Let's talk a little John Emery. I just don't think it impacts the game as much. John's out. Tired of talking about it, man. Tired of talking about it. So our good friend Tyler Alexander over at eXp Realty, our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Don't go anywhere. Zack Nagy next.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vicnair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by.
That's my fault. Zack Nagy, LSU Country Sports Illustrated. Good evening, good sir. How are we doing tonight?
How we doing, baby? We're back.
We are back. And listen, Zach, one thing, and look, you and I saw each other at practices. We would compare notes on things that we saw throughout it. It was a fantastic offseason. We saw a lot of players emerge. We saw quarterbacks emerge, O-line emerge, a lot that we saw emerge. Before I get to this John Emery thing, I want to ask you, know what, one thing that I don't think we're putting a lot of emphasis on in this game, Brian Kelly versus Mike Norvell. Why do you think that that's not being talked about as much as like on the field stuff?
I don't know. I mean, it's two masterminds for the most part. I mean, I feel like Norvell's kind of a guy who's like up and coming in a big way, and Kelly's a guy who's established himself as like a CEO type figure. So I really, I don't know why it's not really being talked about enough, and I'll take a little bit of the blame for that too. That's definitely a headliner, but it's just this on-field production is just so significant, and just the weapons. Two Heisman candidates, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Travis, and then defensive side of the ball, Harold Perkins, Jared Verse. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a star-studded event, and not talking about the Kelly versus Norvell thing is definitely kind of interesting.
You would think because both coaches are coming off 10 wins, right? You'd be like, oh, Saban versus Sark.
Yeah.
Because in week 2, you got Saban versus Sark. You got Prime versus Sonny Dykes. Everybody else is coach versus coach. And I'm just like, hey, man, why aren't we talking about this one? I just thought that was interesting. I do give that to Brian Kelly, though, which I would assume you do as well, correct?
Correct.
All right. John Emery. Zach, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, I just, if he's hurt, then that's one thing that's out of his control. But it's just, you don't give him, regardless of what the information around him is, people just don't give him the benefit of the doubt because, man, this is the third straight year that he's not playing in week 1, man.
It's a common theme at this point, dude. It's just like you said, 3 years in a row. He's missed the season opener. He's missed 15 games of the last 2 years with academic issues. It's like I said, a common theme. I'll reiterate that again. It's devastating, but while I was kind of sitting backstage getting ready to hop on here, I heard what you said, and I completely agree with it. Sure, John Emery's not playing. John Emery's out, and I don't mean to be this villain, but it's not really the end of the world. He's a guy who was running with the second and third team. He missed all of spring camp. It's kind of, it is what it is, and it's kind of just the storyline of his entire career. He hasn't really gotten on the field, whether it's off the field issues or injuries, whatever you want, however you want to slice it. He just hasn't been able to get on the field and produce. So you bring in these 8 scholarship backs that you have, obviously Emery being one of them, but I mean, you have the weapons, man. Obviously, Armani Goodwin's going to be out on Sunday, but dude, you got the guys. You got a 3-headed monster like you and I talked about, whether it was last week, the week before, and Diggs, Josh Williams, and Noah Cain. Noah Cain being your guy that you've been kind of rolling with, and I like that as well. But you're going to see Caleb Jackson potentially get in the mix too. So it's not really the end of the world to not have John Emery, but it's disheartening to say the least to not see him suit up, and I can work with that.
I don't know how to ask this without making the staff pissed off at me, but I feel like Brian Kelly is telling me to chill out with, not me specifically, but just like everybody. But he's telling us to calm down on Caleb Jackson, but then he's the off-ball guy on kick return.
Yeah.
No. I mean, is he just like, hey, guys, he's got a long way to go?
It's insane because I wrote something about him just saying like how high I was on him. And then the next day it was just like everybody pumped the brakes. And I'm like, okay, well, I just put something out about how much I love him. And despite what Kelly says, pump the brakes or not, you and I are both extremely high on Caleb Jackson. We know he brings to the table. We saw it firsthand. And we talked about it 2 weeks ago. And then, he says, pump the brakes, everybody chill out a little bit. And then he's going to be your starting return specialist, off ball, of course, but, still going to get significant playing time as a true freshman. It's like, come on, man, like make up your mind here. He's a dog and you're in a loaded running back room, but to put him on the field as a true freshman, even as a return specialist, is significing in my opinion. It proves the value that he has. It's incredible. He's a dog.
Incredible. So I'm just going to I'm not saying that he's lying. It's coach speak, but you remember the Will Ferrell anchorman, he lights a cigarette and says, I don't believe you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like I just don't, because the actions don't speak to, like the words don't speak to what the actions that we see. So I do not know though if he'll get multiple carries. I mean, Josh Williams got a carry in last year's game, right? I mean, so we'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't mind, if you're up a touchdown, like, hey man, just give him a carry, see what happens.
Throw him in the mix, see what he can do. Yeah. I mean, he's capable of doing it.
Hand him the ball off. If he knows 32 dive, hand him the ball off.
Give him a chance.
See what happens. Zach, one thing that we've talked about a lot, and I don't want to continue to emphasize on this, but one of my keys to victory is stay disciplined. And because of all the counter that Florida State runs, but this receiving unit for Florida State to our DB room, is that just the ultimate thing that you're looking out for? Like, is that it? Is that the only thing that I don't want to say worry about LSU, but just questions that you need answered?
Yeah, I mean, I have my 3 keys to victory myself, and one of them is just how can the secondary compete with Johnny Wilson, even, Keon Coleman transfer coming in. He's a unit himself, but I mean, Johnny Wilson is that dude. Let's not get it twisted here. He's a 6'7", 240-pound menace. I mean, this is a guy who can do his thing when need be, and this is going to be a true test for the secondary. And you know what? If they get punched in the mouth early, good. It's something that the secondary needs to learn because it's a fresh-faced unit. They need to gain continuity somehow, and I think that's going to be the main storyline is how can this secondary match up with the receiving threats that they have in their arsenal, and that being with Florida State. So I'm just extremely intrigued to see how LSU reacts because we saw Zy Alexander-Shine during fall camp. You sitting right there next to me, and he's a guy who we know can handle business when need be. But after him, what are we going to be working with? Are we going to throw Sage Ryan in the mix? Or are we going to put Sage Ryan at nickel and put Deuce Chestnut as the other boundary corner? Like it's a secondary where it's going to be some hiccups along the way, but it's going to be a very interesting matchup seeing Zy Alexander against maybe a Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman. It's going to be fun.
Are you fully confident that Harold Perkins is ready for inside backer?
I'm capable. You throw Harold Perkins' name around, and I mean, he's one of the most dynamic players in college football. Whether you keep him at inside linebacker for majority of snaps, or you let him be the pass rush specialist that he was last year, I mean, he's just a dog, and you're going to need him to. He's going to have to pass rush a little bit with Mason Smith out. I mean, we kind of talked about this. This is something that's going to have to enter the fold at some point. You're going to have to account for him on every single snap. But to kind of pan back to what your question was, yeah, I think he's ready for this inside linebacker role. He didn't come off the field at all during camp. Matt House is also the linebackers coach as well. So he's sitting there working side by side with Perkins, and Perkins ran with the ones, he ran with the twos. He didn't come off the field because Matt House wanted to get him so acclimated to this new position group. And I believe that he's more than ready to do this. It's a bigger workload for him, in my opinion. And I think he's more than capable of taking that next step as a sophomore.
Yeah, and I did think that Brian Kelly Monday was very I don't want to say too honest, but he just came out and said, guys, he's gonna be everywhere. He's like, and so we saw that in the scrimmage. Greg Penn would run in,
Yep.
Harold Perkins would move down, or he'd go out in the, to some extent, Zach, let's call him what he really is. At that exact moment, in the position that he's playing, the defense they're running, he's a box safety. That's how they would account for him. It's not a 4-3. They're accounting him as a box safety.
Yeah.
He's kind of been a little bit everywhere. I do find that to be highly intriguing. I do think he gives Jordan Travis more problems than people are accounting for at this current moment in time. Will Campbell gets number 7 O-line versus arguably one of the best defensive lines in the country. Your thoughts on that on the matchup up front?
Yeah, I mean, this game's going to be one in the trenches, in my opinion. And I don't mean to even contradict myself, because I'm sitting here talking about, the weapons that Florida State has in its arsenal going against the secondary. And, of course, that's going to steal the show. But, games are one in the trenches, and you and I have talked about that best. It's going to be quite the matchup of Will Campbell and Jared Verse Part 2. I mean, Will Campbell went against one of the top defensive ends in the country in his first college game. And that being, last season in 2022. And fast forward to right now, and this is going to be something that is just going to be incredible to watch. I got to talk to Will Campbell yesterday, actually, and he was talking about how that first game against Jared Verse was his welcome to college moment. It was his toughest game of the season. It was something where he was like, okay, I'm here. I made it. Now let's improve from here. Because he got punched in the throat, by Jared Verse last year. And after that, he hit his stride and just balled out as a true freshman in the SEC. So when you're looking at matchups that are intriguing to me and you as well, it's it's going to be getting it done in the trenches, and I'm excited to see how Will Campbell responds.
Defensive line, Mason Smith is out. Thoughts and about not just him, but the whole defensive line too.
Pros and cons. I look at it as, Mason Smith was banged up all fall camp. Jacoby and Guillory slid in there, that first team alongside Mekhi Wingo. So you had those two guys running with the first team for a majority of camp when Mason Smith was banged up with that sprained ankle. So Smith hasn't practiced fully. He's still not practicing fully. He's not at that speed just yet, and Brian Kelly harped on that on Monday. So, it's a significant loss knowing that Mason Smith is one of the top defensive linemen in all of college football. But at the same time, he's only played 10 games. It's a small sample size. And Jacoby and Guillory has proved his worth. So, of course, losing somebody of Mason Smith's caliber is significant. But throwing somebody like Jacoby and Guillory in the mix alongside Mekhi Wingo is also a pretty, solid backup option.
Yeah, and in one of those games, he only played 3 plays, 5 plays, 7 plays, whatever it was. I mean,
exactly,
it's not like
exactly.
he played a lot in those. So, defensive line as a whole, do you think that we see a guy like a Savion Jones make a splash and show some people how good he can be?
I mean, he's up to roughly 280 pounds now. I mean, he's put on the size, he's put in the work, he looks poised for a breakout year. Super composed. When I'm looking at, the 3 players that I have, circled for a potential breakout season, it has to be Savion Jones. I mean, he's learned behind B.J. Ojolari. He's been in the same room as Ali Gay. He's been, learning from some savvy vets. And I think, he's been waiting his turn. He sat back and, now it's kind of his moment to shine. And it's going to be a work in progress for him, but he has all the tools. He has the physical tools to be as impressive as it gets as, a pass rusher. And I think this could be, a year for him where he makes a splash, like you were saying. I'm more than intrigued to see what he can do.
You know who he reminds me of? A less chiseled Daniil Hunter. Not a lot of production early. Has gotten 3 years into the program. Okay,
Yeah.
Now comes in and he's starting to wreck everything, and you're like, what in the hell is going on? It reminds me a lot of Daniil Hunter, how he just kind of then gets drafted, didn't really have a massive college career. Now he's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So
are we kind of on the same page here? Like, you think this could be kind of the season where he makes that jump?
I think he's Daniil Hunter. I think we should have been talking about him more than others.
Good.
Personally.
I'm on the same page as you. I completely agree.
Yeah. So he defensively, I think that he can, because here's the crazy thing. He played 85-90% less snaps than Ali Gay last year and had more sacks. He had 4 sacks. We don't talk about that. We don't talk.
It was a tough season for Ali Gay last year. I mean, I completely agree. Like, this could be his time to shine, and I love that comp. Like that's phenomenal. So lack of snaps, but when he was on the field, he made the most of his opportunities. So I think this could be the year.
For like 75 snaps, he had 4 sacks.
Yeah,
exactly. If the kid were at Georgia, you know what they would have done? They would have been saying, "This is the next one at Georgia."
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
the next Eagle. Exactly.
Right. The next Eagle. I didn't even put that together. That's you saw Eli Ricks made that 53-man roster.
Good for him. Good for him.
You're a better man than me.
We'll leave it at that. Good for him.
Malik Neighbors. You think he's the biggest playmaker from like playmakers like wide receivers, running backs? You think he's going to be the biggest playmaker in this game?
Easy answer would be to just say go with it. Just be like, yeah, he's coming off 1,000-yard year. He's going to capitalize off that and carry the momentum into this year. And that's the pretty easy answer. But dude, I want to sit here and ride with Aaron Anderson until the wheels fall off. I mean, I feel like this is a guy, if you give him the opportunity in week 1, the likelihood that he gets significant snaps in week 1 is going to be, we'll see. But I'd love to see what he can do as a punt returner, return specialist as well. And, maybe throw him in the slot a little bit behind Kyron Lacey and see what he can do in open space. But, to kind of get back to what you were saying, yeah, this is going to be the Malik Neighbors show. It's going to be his year, top 5 receiver in the 2024 NFL draft. And this is a guy who's going to put it all together this season. And as Jaden Daniels continues improving with his intermediate balls and deep balls, you're throwing it up to a guy who's extremely impressive, brushing off defenders and reaching the ball at its highest point. So Malik Neighbors is going to be the best, receiver on that field, and it's going to be something to see.
What's your score prediction?
I just got off of a Florida State podcast, and they were asking me the exact same thing, and they did not like my answer because I'm rocking with LSU 34-27. I think it's going to be a pretty tough contest. It might be one where LSU starts off slow, but hits their stride late, starts to contain those receivers and works from there. But I have LSU pulling this one out in just an absolute classic, a top 10 showdown in Orlando. It doesn't get much better than that. The only game on Sunday, I mean, I'm gonna rock with LSU 34-27, and I'm gonna stay with that.
What were they saying? Why didn't they like it?
Because they all had Florida State. What do you think?
But like they were like ragging you about it?
No, but you had the people in their chat giving me hell. You know how it goes.
You know what? I just sent them the middle finger. You ever seen the movie? What's the thing? The Peter Quill. What's it called?
No, I don't think I have, but I'm gonna have to look it up.
Star-Lord, whatever his name is. I don't remember. But he does like this, and he.
Oh, I know the meme. I know what you're talking about. I'm just sitting back, like I'm like, okay, guys, like, chill. But yeah, no, I'm rocking with LSU here. Come on.
I am too. I think it's a little bit more pointsier than you have it. I had 38-24 LSU.
Wow. So
I'm going out on a limb thinking that they're going to get close to 40 because here's my logic. They looked horrendous at times last year offensively. They scored 24 points.
And they still almost pulled it off, and they only showed up for a quarter and a half. So, yeah.
Right. And then they had to go 99 yards to get, a touchdown. So
what's your X factor in this one then?
Jaden Daniels and Mason. Well, here's what I believe. I don't think that they have a linebacker offensively. I don't think it's going to be Malik. I think they're going to do what they got to do to guard him. I think he catches maybe a touchdown. I don't think it's Aaron Anderson. I do think that Mason Taylor, they don't have a linebacker that's fast enough for him, and they have 2 brand new safeties. I don't think it's physical enough for him. As much as we've talked about Jaheim Bell, Mason Taylor showed at the end of the year that he can be a dude. And
I think that's fair. That's something that's getting really swept under the rug too. And when I kind of hopped on here just now, you were talking about Brian Kelly and Norvell, that clash kind of not being talked about enough. I don't think Mason Taylor's getting enough credit for the offseason.
Not at all.
Well, so I think that's a fantastic type of like X factor to throw in there because that's going to make all the difference. I agree. I like that.
When I started like sketching this out on what I was going to say in the scrimmage, when Harold Perkins could not keep up with on the crossing route to Mason Taylor, the one that he fumbled on, okay, and he's trailing behind him, I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. That's Harold Perkins. They don't have a Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know that they don't. So what's going on here? Now, Sage Ryan forced a fumble. It makes it look like a bad play for him, but he caught a 17-yard one. He got a 9-yard one. And literally, James is like, F it. 86 is down there somewhere.
He's down there somewhere. Yeah, exactly.
So, but I do think when you have everything even in this one, Zach, for me, it just comes down to quarterback play and head coach, who the head coach is. I will pick 9 times out of 10 the better head coach and better quarterback. It's what I do in all my NFL picks.
Yep.
I always pick the better head coach and better quarterback. And maybe it's
Jordan Travis as a whole.
Yeah, well, I mean, we won on 67% of our bets last year, 64%, whatever it was. We were successful. I mean, I'm just going to keep picking. Now, the one I hate betting against the most is Burrow because I think Zach Taylor snorted crayons as a kid.
Stop, dude.
My bad. I do. I mean, I do. I think he's. Okay. Let me move on. Zach, thank you so much. I feel bad because I can't leave you on this one.
Throw something else at me. What you got?
Okay. Let's think. Oh, running back room. Who do you think starts?
So, are you still rocking with Noah Cain? Is that what we're gonna? Before I even throw my 2 cents in there.
Yeah, I mean, so look, I hate to say it, I don't really care who they run out there, really.
They're all productive. They're all going to be productive.
They're all going to be productive. Like if Logan Diggs runs out there first and is the first dude, I'm like, okay, makes sense. Josh Williams, okay, makes sense. The only 2 players that can run out there that wouldn't make sense to me, 3 really, Trey Bradford, Caleb Jackson, and Trey Holly. Then I'm like, now you're just trolling. Yeah, like you're really trolling if you're Brian Kelly or Frank Wilson. Noah Cain has put his head down. He's been in every practice. He hasn't said a word. You got to reward that, man. You got to reward that. Give him the first snaps.
Yeah, and I like that. That's a fair take. And I mean, regardless of like you were saying, like whoever goes out there first, it's going to be a three-headed monster. You know, you're going to see Logan Diggs, Josh Williams, and Noah Cain take significant snaps no matter what. And Noah Cain's been durable. He's been that guy. Josh Williams and Logan Diggs have, been pretty banged up. And despite them being banged up, Noah Cain's, carried the load and been as impressive as it gets. So, no, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of whoever it is, whoever rolls out there. I'm cool with that because they're all going to produce whenever you need them to. So we're on the same page.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you in a precarious situation. That's a good dictionary word, though.
Precarious. That was a really good one. Thesaurus over here. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm an Italian thesaurus.
This guy, bro. I appreciate you having me.
The first word in the Italian dictionary is gabagool.
You're an animal.
All right. I am Italian.
Oh, I'm well aware.
Is it the beard that gave it away or the big ass nose?
Not going there today.
All right. Thank you so much, buddy. This has been awesome. We're going to do it. I'm going to obviously ask you back so many times throughout the season. Hopefully LSU does start off. Florida and Utah, you got any, or let me ask you, any games that you're watching outside of LSU this weekend you're really interested in before I get you out of here?
I'm excited for that Florida-Utah game. Their quarterback, obviously, he's not playing, so it kind of changes the aspect of that one from like a star-studded event type thing. But I'm excited to see how Napier starts off this season. But yeah, that's a game that I'm circling that I want to check out for the most part.
Zack Nagy, LSU Country Sports Illustrated. Thank you, buddy.
My guy, I appreciate it. Let's do it again.
That's Zack Nagy. I did not mean to put him in a precarious situation, but y'all know how I am, man. It's Wednesday. Shit gets goofy on Wednesdays. Only thing that doesn't change on Wednesday is the roll at Piccadilly. All right. Go to talk about our good friend Carol Falls over at State Farm. We're back next.
Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements.
So, week 1 is upon us, and I do have my picks. So here are the 5 games. If you're watching Ruffino and Joe show, you saw this. If you weren't, then I don't know what you were doing. But we pick 5 games every week. If you haven't subscribed to Ruffino and Joe show, go on YouTube, do that. The 5 games are South Carolina and North Carolina, LSU and Florida State, Duke and Clemson, Florida at Utah, Colorado at TCU. Let me get some of these easy ones out of the way. I do think Clemson beats Duke. I do like Garrett Riley a lot. They got a good quarterback situation. I know a lot of people like to put down on Dabo, but their bad seasons are 10-win seasons. They play in the ACC. They don't play anybody. The Riley brothers consistently have good offenses. I'm going with Clemson. Don't know if it's going to be a complete blowout yet. Duke last year under Mike Elko had a really good defense. They were one of the top 20 scoring defenses in all the country. So Duke could make it interesting in the beginning. I do think Clemson rolls. Colorado at TCU. So about this one, okay? About this game. It is way too much, in my opinion, for Coach Prime, as he wants to be known as. It certainly is going to be, I think, way too much for him to replace that many players and have that little of continuity for them to come out and beat TCU. I don't know if they're more talented than TCU. I don't think they are more talented than TCU. I do think that Colorado does have playmakers. I think they got a stable of good running backs. We'll see how Coach Prime's son does at quarterback. Travis Hunter, obviously, is a good playmaker, former #1 recruit in the country. They may keep this game a little close early, but until I see somebody that's able to get that many players out of the transfer portal, beat a team, a coach coming from the FCS, HBCU level, going up to Power 5, can he beat a team that actually just was in the national title a year ago? Sonny Dykes is not a bad head coach. Let's see if they can go on the road and take on TCU before I crown them getting a significant win, because they only had 1 win last year. I don't think that Deion's going to come in there and I think he makes a massive impact. I just don't know if they're going to be able to beat some of the teams that may be ranked. The other 3 that we picked in here, Florida goes to Utah. There are a lot of things I don't like in this game and why I really don't want to bet it, but it's one of the bigger games in college football this week. I don't like that Florida had to leave out on Tuesday because of the hurricane to then go to Dallas. Then they go up to Utah, or I think they went up to Utah today. So it's only a day sooner, but you are having to make a pit stop. There's a lot of complications in that. We'll see. But I don't like Florida going up in the elevation. I think it's like what happened with Utah last year in the heat and humidity. The atmosphere can make this game completely one-sided because one team trains in altitude, the other team doesn't. I'm probably an idiot for this, and I am ready to be wrong with this pick. I don't think that matters. I just don't buy into teams that are having to go to their backup quarterback that's been there for 3 years hasn't really started as this being his team. Cam Rising is out. By the way, their backup was also injured, missed some practices because of injury. Now is coming back. How is his health? I don't trust Billy Napier. I just do believe when it's all said and done, Florida could be the more athletic team. I don't like it, though. If you gave me a level of confidence of all the picks that we did and said, what confidence level are you in all these games? Confidence level would be at a 1 for me for this game, because I think either team can win here, and I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong. I'm taking Florida. North Carolina and South Carolina, I don't know if Drake May is a really good quarterback. Probably going to be the number 2 overall pick. No telling what happens in the draft. Maybe it can even be Drake May at number 1 over Caleb Williams, even though I don't think that that's possible. Well, anything's possible, but barring injury, if everything stays the same. UNC's defense last year was 102nd in scoring defense. They made no changes. They got worse. Gene Chizik is their defensive coordinator. They have progressively gotten worse every single year. I do not trust in them. I do not believe in them. I don't believe in Spencer Rattler either, but when your defense is that hot garbage, who was the kid, Pooh, from Mississippi State that went off on LSU in 2020? What was the kid's name that got benched? KJ Costello, wasn't it? Remember when KJ Costello came down to the Bayou and put up like unbelievable numbers with rest in peace Mike Leach, rest in peace to the Pirate? When your defense gives up that many passing yards, guys, they gave up close to 300 passing yards a year ago. That is one of the tops in all of the country. They're not good stopping the run. They're not good at the second level. They're not good in their secondary. That's why I'm picking South Carolina. That's why I'm taking South Carolina in this one. When your defense is that bad, I just think that overall team-wise, taking the quarterback out of it, for just taking them out, team-wise, South Carolina is deeper and is more talented. And then the primetime matchup of the weekend, LSU, Florida State. You know where I'm leaning that one, LSU. If you're asking me my level of confidence, it is a 3. Anthony Smith, B. Saint says, are you saying Rattler's going to go off? Like, no, I'm not saying he will, but it would not surprise me. Their defense is that bad. Guys, like, they're that bad. Remember under Orgeron the last 2 years how bad those defenses were? They weren't 102nd in the country in points given up per game. And they were bad. They were really bad. So imagine that for just 1 second. They were worse in the ACC than you were in the SEC. They didn't get better. They had transfers all over the place. I'm probably going to go 3-2 here, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. We'll see. Howard Jr. says JD5 is having an Angel Reese, Paul Skeens season. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Block Hal Jubin on YouTube. Why are y'all saying block Hal Jubin? What he did? Says Blake ain't no idiot. Florida will be a bust. They probably will be a bust, but guys, if you go down Utah's depth chart, they have a lot of senior latent offensive linemen, right? Do you know that pretty much every position underneath that are freshmen, redshirted freshmen or true freshmen? So if they have an injury along that offensive line, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. Nobody's talking about that. Hal Jubin says, Utah big, screw Florida. 2R3, no good as one on YouTube. Says, is Cam Rising out against Florida? He is. At least that's what Pete Thamel says. LSU Beer says, LSU, the X Factor is FSU, no game zero this year. That's a thing that I hadn't mentioned and talked about a lot. You're probably right there. Teams usually get better from week 1 to week 2, and you're probably right there. Another thing that we hadn't focused on enough. Brandon Reese says, I hope Florida loses to Vandy on their homecoming. Gator fans will lose their outright minds. H-Town Creole says, Blake Spencer Rattler is too inconsistent to bet on any team he plays QB on. I agree with that, but these are the best 5 games of the weekend, and we're going to pick it. I do find that Minnesota and Nebraska game a little intriguing too with Matt Rule. Is Nebraska back? I'll keep my eye on that one for sure. I don't think that they will be. We'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good weekend. We'll have a lot for you this weekend. Football season's back, baby. We'll see you tomorrow.